Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And I'm going to start it off in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And hey, in 2025, we can truly see that we are heading into and, currently in some perilous times. Thefts are up, grapes up, deletions, self-deletions, every time you turn on the news, it's just like one horrific thing is happening after another. And it's only going to get worse from here on out because we are coming in to Jacob's trouble, the worst time in human history, worse than any, catastrophe, cataclysmic event, war, violence against humanity, anything like that you can think of. Jacob's trouble is going to make that look like a day on Sesame Street. And in this video, I'm just going to be going into an article showing that we truly are living in some perilous times. But before I get to that article, I'm going to just get it. Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that he that will be saved out of it is the elect of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations. Hey, the elect, which, Yahweh Ratazah, myself, and you sincere Akim and Akwat out there that are listening to this lesson or a part of, are doing whatever they can right now to stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so we can have, that standard set up for us during Jacob's trouble, so that when all these people, especially the wicked of our people, hence it's called Jacob's trouble for a reason, are getting punished out here by Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, hey, we'll be protected through it. But the article I'll be going into is on endoftheamericandream.com titled 11 Shocking Examples of How Completely and Utterly Lawless Our Society Has Become. A lot of people out there just want to stick their heads in the sand and pretend that everything is just fine. Meanwhile, rampant lawlessness is raging all around us, and our society is literally coming apart at the seams. Hey, behold, in the last days, perilous times shall come. I just don't get it. How can people insist that things are fine when just about every form of evil that you can possibly imagine is on the rise? Nobody can deny that the moral decay of America is accelerating. And unless we reverse course and choose another direction, conditions will continue to get even worse. The following are 11 shocking examples of how completely and utterly lawless our society has become. And hey, there's no steering this ship back in the right direction. No make America great again. We are living in the times when Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to judge America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great, for all the wickedness it's committed on the face of the earth, which I'm going to get. I believe it's in Jeremiah chapter 50. Or 51. Here it is. Jeremiah 51. I'm going to start at verse 7. Babylon, or America, hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand. And what has literally been one of the sayings for America in the past, the street the city whose streets were paved with gold. At one time, this place used to be looked at as the beacon for the pinnacle of humanity, where you can come and make all your dreams come true. And America has been the richest nation on the face of the earth, that made all the earth drunken with her different philosophies. Capitalism, the American dream, democracy, women's rights, now the alphabet, agenda beginning with LG, etc., etc. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And when you look at these different nations that have taken on the ways of America, their societies have deteriorated. Their families have broken up. Greed and selfishness and narcissism has run rampant. I remember reading an article about how those tribes, down in South America, which are Israelites of the Northern Kingdom, Elon Musk's Starlink allowed them to get internet pornography. And then you saw an increase in domestic violence and sexual perversions. Hey, that another example of that wine making the nations drunk that have drunken of it. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon economically, morally, militarily, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So as it said, we would have healed Babylon, but Babylon or America will not be healed and will fall and be destroyed, ultimately by nuclear missiles hitting this place during World War III. Hey, but right now we're seeing the decay of America from the inside out. We are in the midst of the worst wave of cargo theft in our history. Earlier today, I came across a Los Angeles Times article about a very alarming series of train heists that have been taking place in the Mojave Desert. The thieves stealthily board eastbound freight trains, hiding out until they reach lonely stretches of the Mojave Desert or high plains far from towns. They slash an air brake hose, causing the mile-long line of rail cars to screech to an emergency stop. Then they go shopping. That's the modus operandi described by investigators in a string of at least 10 heists targeting BNSF trains in California and Arizona since last March. All but one resulted in the theft of Nike sneakers, their combined value approaching $2 million, according to investigators. And, I'm going to jump around a bit to get the main points. There were at least 65,000 railroad cargo thefts last year, a 40% increase from 2023, according to industry estimates compiled by the Association of American Railroads. The thefts, which are typically classified as burglaries because they don't involve directly confronting victims, as with robberies, are believed to have cost the nation's largest rail companies more than $100 million, according to the trade group. Number 2, a McDonald's location in Brooklyn has completely banned everyone under the age of 20 from entering because of all the crime kids have been committing there. A crime-ridden Brooklyn McDonald's is carding customers at the door and forbidding anyone under 20 to enter without a parent or proper ID, in what might be a first for the fast food Goliath. The restaurant at Nostrand and Flatbush Avenues took the drastic step last week after a group of kids wearing ski masks swirled in after school and attacked a security guard, breaking a glass door, according to manager Amber Hussein. And I bet you can guess who these what ethnicity these group of children belong to. Those YNs, those young niggas which the Most High has allowed these YNs to be created through the generational destruction of the so-called black community so they could serve as a terror under Egypt or America, which is another name for the United States of America. Which I'm going to get this real quick. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 8. There shall be a confusion also in many places, which we could clearly see. You got the majority of people just completely confused out here looking for answers as to, what's going to make the economy get better. Why is society decaying, which, the author of that article is going into, and what happens next? What can we do to make things go back to normal, which this is the new normal? And the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, which, we saw a lot of during 2019 to 2021 with the L downs, with the people inside. You had a bunch of animals roaming the streets. And then when society, completely collapses, you're going to have wild animals attacking people and animals in the zoo getting out and, making a snack out of the average citizen. But here's the main point. And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And, a lot of these so-called black women, these menstruous women out here are bringing forth mini monsters, multiple baby daddies, and just using, those children for a welfare, paycheck, and leaving those children to their own devices, hooked onto social media, engulfed in rap and thug culture, them being GMO babies from the womb, and them just getting it how they live out here, being those YNs. And like I said, the Lord has raised up, these YNs to ultimately be a terror unto Egypt because, these YNs out here, they show no mercy. A lot of them have nothing to look forward to in life. So what? They got no problems losing their life or taking a life. But this is Isaiah chapter 19. I'm going to start at 16. In that day shall Egypt, which again is another name for America, Revelation 11, verse 8. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it. All these calamities during Jacob's trouble, which you've already got, these American citizens out here, shaking in fear, and things haven't even gotten really bad yet. You can go all over YouTube or social media with a lot of these Americans, especially these Edomite or so-called white people Americans, complaining about the state of things out here. Verse 17, and the land of Judah, the so-called Negro, so-called black, so-called African American of the Southern Kingdom, shall be a terror unto Egypt. Like I've been saying, with these YNs committing these crimes out here, and how much worse do you think it's going to be when society collapses? You got the YNs, then you got the Most High that's going to just raise up the spirit of the 2/3 of the nation of Israel and America to fight against you Edomites and other heathens. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself because of the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he hath determined against it. Over the past year, large groups of teens have regularly been causing all sorts of chaos at that particular McDonald's. Every day after school for the year she's worked there, somewhere between 15 to 20 teenagers come in and trash the store, throwing ice at customers, snatching bags of food from Uber drivers, and smoking weed inside the restaurant, Hussein told the Post. McDonald's in the area, nicknamed The Junction, is infamous in the neighborhood. It's been the scene of multiple shootings and stabbings over the years. Menstruous women shall bring forth monsters, and Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Speaking of Brooklyn, a 23-year-old man has just been charged with repeatedly graping a 7-year-old boy and posting videos of the abuse on the dark web. A Brooklyn man allegedly graped a young boy he was babysitting, filmed the vile abuse, and posted it on the dark web, and authorities fear there may be other victims. Let's just go to this article real quick. Damn. Jake, I was thinking it was going to be an Edomite because, that's usually how Edomites get down, but it looked like it's a Jake. Ramel Mena Warner lived with the victim's family in Brooklyn for 2 years and frequently babysat the 7-year-old victim. Federal prosecutors said in court papers, Warner, 23, allegedly made 6 different videos of the abuse, investigators said. Apparently, someone that does not like Elon Musk very much shot up a Tesla dealership in Salem, Oregon. A Tesla dealership in Salem was vandalized Wednesday morning about a month after a vehicle at the dealership was lit on fire. Number 5, romance scams have become extremely popular in recent years, but one woman with dual citizenship took things to an entirely new level by killing several of her victims. A Las Vegas woman with dual U.S. so-called Mexican, because the so-called Mexicans are the Issacharites, citizenship, ran a romance scam on steroids that caused the deaths of 3 people. FBI Special Agent in Charge Spencer Evans said during a news conference where, with the Nevada U.S. Attorney's Office, he announced the unsealing of a 21-count superseding indictment against her. Apparently, Aurora Phelps was targeting men in their 70s and 80s, and she would use drugs to incapacitate them. We believe Phelps connected with each of them through an online dating application so she could lure them into her confidence under false pretenses and then drug them with dangerous doses of prescription sedatives or other controlled substances, Evans said. Once she incapacitated her victims, Phelps stole their cars, accessed their bank and brokerage accounts to withdraw cash, and used their credit cards to make a variety of purchases, including luxury retail goods and gold. This is dealing with, I guess, one of those kind of dating sites to meet people with. But, brothers should especially be careful now using those dating apps. You shouldn't just be all willy-nilly meeting somebody on them. You should, take extra precautions, because there are even news articles coming out showing that men would go up and just randomly meet a woman, and then what? The woman might or might not be there, but the house they went to had a bunch of jack boys there that messed them up, and in some cases, deleted them. But now I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. And this is Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, speaking to his disciples, telling them of things that would take place in the last days. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And when we go into that word iniquity in the Strongs, it's G458, anomia, which in the outline of biblical usage says the condition of without law, because ignorant of it, because of violating it, contempt and violation of law, iniquity, wickedness. And this is ultimately talking about the world being without the laws, statutes, and commandments of the scriptures being instituted. But hey, it can also go into these laws of these different countries and governments being ignored by the people, and people, violating them and being ignorant of them, and just getting it how they live out here, which is all what we're reading about in that article. Just the state of decay and lawlessness in the United States of America. And with what? Romance scams leading to men getting drugged and deleted, underage children getting, raped. And hey, it's going to get better or worse in that article as we go on. Thefts, violence, you name it. Hey, these people definitely are waxing cold out here. And this word in the Strongs is G5594, psycho. And when you think of a psychopath, what do you think of? A person without any mercy or regard for another person's life. A metaphor of waning love. Six, some of the most evil criminals of all often occupy some of the highest positions in our society. After all this time, the Washington Post has finally been forced to admit that Dr. Antony Fauci really was funding horrific beagle abuse that he worked really hard to cover up. In a shocking turn of events, the Washington Post has admitted it published disinformation fed to it by the NIH to discredit White Coat Waste Project and defend Mr. F from our evidence that he funded beagle abuse in Tunisia. And, the people at the heights of society, they are psychopaths, killers, rapists, the worst of society. And then again, what? We have Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the wicked of the Bible, ruling society. And it's a true trickle-down effect. That's trickle-down economics for you. This is Psalms chapter 12, verse 8. When the wicked walk on every side, when the vilest men are exalted, and these Edomites are looked at, even though their power is waning, they were looked at as the pinnacle of society. Or you need to, go to college, shave your face, work at a corporation, become a lawyer, a doctor, live that American dream to succeed. But what? That's all a part of that wine Babylon has made the people drunken off of, and see what it's led to. The wicked walking on every side because the vilest men are exalted. Greed, narcissism, you name it. Verse 7. Number 7. The New York Post recently ran a story with this very alarming headline: Transformer migrant charged with raping 14-year-old boy in NYC bathroom. A migrant Decepticon woman wanted by federal immigration officials allegedly stalked and raped a boy in Manhattan this week, the Post has learned. Nicole Suarez allegedly followed the 14-year-old into the bathroom of a bodega across the street from Thomas Jefferson Park in East Harlem Tuesday and attacked him, police and sources said. The boy then left the bathroom and flagged down witnesses who alerted police, the sources said. Number 8, in North Carolina, a 44-year-old woman that is married and that is the mother of 2 children has been charged with 80 counts of child rape. The 2 boys that she repeatedly had illicit encounters with were 12 years old at the time. A married mother of 2, was arrested in North Carolina on 80 counts of child rape. Sarah John Sellers of Charlotte was arrested on Friday on multiple charges related to illicit crimes against children, according to the Brunswick County Sheriff Office. Number 9. This next example is even worse. A teacher in Houston, Texas, was actually pimping out students at her school. One victim was allegedly being forced to have illicit encounters with 5 to 10 men a night. Student sues Houston, Texas school district for ignoring her pleas for her help after being trafficked by a teacher for illicit activities. Texas teacher Kedria Grigsby allegedly recruited, groomed, and trafficked several teen girls for illicit activities. One victim says she was forced to sleep with 5 to 10 men a night and make $1,000 a day for the teacher. When she showed up to the school with bruises, the school allegedly ignored her. Hey, because iniquity or lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But now I'm going to jump to the last one. Even when vicious criminals are caught, in most cases, it is just a matter of time before they are released. In Connecticut, a cannibal that literally ate the eyeball and part of the brain of a man after deleting him with an axe is back on the streets. A cannibal in Connecticut has been granted conditional release from a psychiatric hospital after brutally deleting a man with an axe, eating one of his eyeballs and part of his brain. So, hey, we truly are living in some very perilous times, and people are doing this while society is still functioning. Imagine how it's going to be when society truly collapses out here. This is Luke chapter 23. I'm going to read verses 29 to 31. And this was Yahushua, telling the Israelite women, that were weeping after him. He told them, hey, don't worry about yourselves. Don't worry about me. Worry about yourselves, because, he was about to fulfill, him going on the cross and going back to the Heavenly Father. And, decades later, you had 70 AD, which was a major calamity for the Israelites at that time. And again, Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. Yahushua was speaking to those women back then, but hey, speaking to us in these times right now as well, because we are coming into the times of Jacob's trouble, a time like no other. For behold, the days are coming in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Because, it's hard enough trying to survive a societal collapse, fighting against, other people out here for food, avoiding the authorities. You've got pestilences and plagues out here taking people out. But imagine how much more if you're a pregnant woman, or, a woman that just has children in general, a man or a family that has children. Verse 30, then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and onto the hills, cover us. And like I said, 70 AD was right around the corner back then. And as it says in Matthew chapter 24, when you see the abomination of desolation that cometh in, which was speaking of the Romans back then, flee ye into the mountains, for safety. But, today we can, relate that now, because you're going to have a lot of people try to leave these cities to go into the wilderness to try to survive, which that's going to have its whole host of issues with it. And then also, mountains and hills can represent governments in the scriptures. And with people, saying to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us, it could be these people, running to these governments for help, which is going to be these very same governments that are going to be fomenting these calamities out here so that you can come to them for help. And what's going to be their answer to you? Hey, get this RFID/NFC C-hip implant in you if you want to get back into society and for things to go back to normal, which is the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18, which, because I said that, let me actually read number 11 back in this number 10 back in this article. For hackers looking for a huge score, crypto heists have become a really big thing. Unfortunately, Bybit was just the victim of the largest crypto heist of all time. As reported by the BBC, Dubai-based crypto firm Bybit is down 1.5 billion in Ethereum after hackers compromised its digital wallet. If the hackers successfully make off with the dough, that would make this the largest single crypto heist ever, more than doubling the previous record holder's ill-gotten gains. That's another thing. We're moving towards a digital, cashless society. And, this is just whether this happened naturally occurring or, there was some strings being pulled behind the scenes, you're going to see more and more instances of crypto thefts and just things being shown that, your biometrics can be stolen and the data sold, your private crypto can be taken. So what? We need to come up with a better, safer solution. CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies, which are directly controlled by the government, and ultimately that CHIP in you, which, it's in your body and it's going to be perfectly safe. It won't be hacked, and we can go right back to normal. Verse 31, for if they do these things in a green tree, when you've still got electricity and running water, and even though the prices for food is going up, you can still go to the stores and buy what you want. What shall be done in the dry, when you have empty store shelves, when the power goes out, the water's no longer running, and it's a whole societal collapse and anarchy out here? Hey, because iniquity or lawlessness shall abound, the love of many will wax cold. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.